The common mistake of those living beside someone with chronic depression is confusing empathy with emotional fusion. When you try to save him, you risk losing yourself. You cannot be his savior. That's not your road. Hello Uplifers, nice to see you again. I received a message from a woman whose husband suffers from chronic depression. The message states like this: the reason I'm reaching out is because I can't manage my own actions when it comes to my husband's depression. I often find myself in situations where I don't know how to handle my attitude or my reactions towards him. I simply don't know what healthy response would look like. I need a clear, objective perspective because I'm too emotionally entangled to think straight. I feel like he's pulling me down with him, and I don't want that. Not for me and not for him. Dear soul, let me say this first with full sincerity. What you are feeling is entirely natural. Living beside someone with chronic depression is like sailing through constant emotional fog. You are not selfish nor unloving for feeling overwhelmed or for not always reacting perfectly. You are human. And what you have expressed is actually a sign of love that longs to find healthy boundaries. Here are a few essential guideposts. You cannot be his savior. That's not your road. Yes, I know it may sound harsh, but it's profoundly freeing. You are not responsible for his healing. You can be a support, but not the solution. You can stand beside him, but not in his place. No matter how deeply you love him, you cannot live his life for him or think in his place. When you try to save him, you risk losing yourself. And paradoxically, you are not helping him either, because you both end up reinforcing a dynamic where he becomes increasingly passive and you increasingly exhausted. If he's pulling you down with him is no longer help, it's emotional contagion. Depression is not just an illness, it's an atmosphere. If you don't protect your emotional boundaries, you begin to breathe in that atmosphere and eventually call it normal. The common mistake of those living beside someone with chronic depression is confusing empathy with emotional fusion. You can be compassionate and present without dissolving into his pain. This requires awareness and emotional training, and yes, it can be learned. A healthy attitude begins with two critical questions. What can I control? And of course, you can control your actions, your boundaries, your clear-headed presence. And the second question is, what can I not control? And that's his emotional state, his peace, his motivation. Everything in the second category must be returned to his own responsibility, even if it hurts. Your role is to be a wife, not a therapist. You are his partner, not a mental health professional. You don't need to feel all the explanations for his condition, nor lift him up every day. Your support is valuable only when it comes from a place of balance, not burnout. Sometimes real help looks like this, suggesting therapy and gently reminding him occasionally without pressure. Refusing to validate self-destructive behavior, not becoming a prisoner of guilt or the savior complex. You have the right to protect your own well-being. That's not selfishness, it's emotional hygiene. If you fall apart, he loses his last source of stability. This means that you carve out spaces of breath and renewal, activities that feed your soul, people in whose presence you can be fully yourself, your own access to therapeutic support. In conclusion, a healthy attitude means calm presence, not emotional entanglement, clear boundaries between what is his and what is yours, being a mirror, not a life raft, prioritizing self-care because you cannot pour from an empty cup. Of course, this is a hard road, but also a noble one. And the very fact that you want to walk it with clarity without losing yourself shows that you are not running from love. You're just trying to build it on a solid ground. You have every right to protect yourself and to be a support, but not a sacrificial offering. I hope that this was helpful for you, and that's why I kindly request you to subscribe, to share, and comment. Bye-bye.